Donald Trump is having a very bad weekend, which means it's a good weekend for democracy. The Trump campaign is in total panic mode, while Vice President Kamala Harris' campaign is in get out the vote mode. Let's just take a look right here at the split ticket, our favorite pollster. They're the best data guys and gals in the game. Here's what they have the odds right now. Vice President Kamala Harris, 53% to 47%. She's peaking. Donald Trump is collapsing. Take a look at what we're learning about Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign operation right now. A Harris campaign official in Pennsylvania says their volunteer team is averaging, get this, 2,000 door knocks per minute across the state on Saturday as of 12:54 p.m. They are as organized as we've ever seen any campaign in the history of campaigning. Oh, and then there's that Ohio poll that just came out from one of the top pollsters there that only has Donald Trump up within the margin of error, +3 in Ohio, which is a bad sign in other states. And she could take Ohio, especially if Donald Trump is doing things like this. Here's the headline on Drudge Report right now. Blowing it. Donald Trump simulates oral sex on stage. This follows the previous headline, World in shock as Donald Trump calls for the execution of Liz Cheney. Just look at this individual right here. More demented and unhinged than ever. And I think more and more we have to reflect on this first time cover when President Biden won in 2020. Day one, you see the absolute mess that President Biden had to inherit. And I know the corporate media has been so compromised that they don't want to talk about the work he did to fix Donald Trump's disaster. But I want you to reflect as you look upon Donald Trump's behavior, even just over the past 72 hours. Look at what he left President Biden. I think that cover says it all. And of course, you all remember now, this has gone mega viral, what Donald Trump was doing in Milwaukee last night. Let's just take a look. And then Donald Trump held up a microphone and then said that this is hard for me to hold this microphone. It's like weightlifting. This sucker's heavy. Here, play this clip.
I've never held a microphone up so long in my damn life. It's like I'm weightlifting. Sucker's heavy.
And then he looked at a woman in the crowd and says, "You're a beautiful blonde girl." Here, just watch how unhinged it is. And you'll see the kind of dementia-like symptoms there as he just can't keep a straight thought. Here, watch this.
With computers all over the place and robots. Lots of robots, by the way. So I said, well, how's that going? I was making a speech and I said, I'm right about there where that very beautiful girl is. I'm not allowed to say that. See the beautiful blonde girl right there? I said, now you know that's the end of your political career when you do that. You're not allowed to call anybody beautiful anymore. If you do, it's the end of your political career. Ron Johnson would never do.
Donald Trump's panicking manifested this morning as well in this interview he did with Fox in the morning. Now, Fox is working tirelessly to try to rehabilitate Donald Trump's image, and they keep bringing him on to try to help. So they asked him a very basic question about the comments made by his campaign surrogates where they call Puerto Rico trash and they mock Latinos. Donald Trump says, nobody did more for Puerto Rico than me, and he defends the surrogate. Trump says, it was just a joke. Nobody cares. I'm the best thing that's ever happened to Puerto Rico. Watch what Donald Trump says. Here, play this clip.
It was unbelievable. Well, I guess somebody put on a comedian, and he joked. He was a comedian. He joked. He mentioned Puerto Rico. And all of a sudden, the Democrats, and they are good at this stuff, by the way. That's the only thing they're good at. They're no good at policy. They're no good at government. They're good at other things. They're very good at cheating. But other than that, they're not good at anything. So let me just so they come up, and a comedian put in early in the show as a filler, in all fairness. I guess he said some joke. I haven't heard the joke, but he said some joke, and he mentioned Puerto Rico. All of a sudden, they come out with something about Puerto Rico. Nobody's been better to Puerto Rico than me. I saved Puerto Rico when they had some of the worst hurricanes, really bad. I brought in the hospital ship, the Mercy. I brought in this massive hospital ship. There's nobody, and Puerto Ricans will tell you that, nobody's done more for Puerto Rico than me. They made this one comedian telling one little joke early in the show when nobody had even started going into the arena practically. They made this comedian, and they made the whole weekend, and they took out this gorgeous, unbelievable, patriotic evening, and they sort of stained it a little bit by a comedian that I have no idea who he is. He's a man that was put there by very good people and well-meaning people. He mentioned Puerto Rico, and they made it like a big deal.
Then in that Fox and Friends interview, or the Fox interview this morning, Donald Trump then doubles down on talking about Liz Cheney having 9 barrels shooting at her. Take a listen.
But what I said about her is that a lot of times these bullies, she's a bully. She's a nice female bully, okay? And a lot of times these bullies, they're really weak people. And all I said is, let's see how she does. I said, put a gun in her hand, then let her go out and let her face the enemy with a gun in her hand. And they'll have 9 people or 12 people or 100 people. I said, let's see how she stands up, because I say she wouldn't have the guts to do it.
Then Donald Trump talks again about what he considers to be black jobs, people with black jobs. Play this clip.
The black jobs are being people with black jobs, black people that are working so hard, and they've had jobs for 20 years, they're being fired, and they're being replaced. And when you look at
Then Donald Trump goes on this weird misogynistic rant, which is his MO anyway, where he says, how could a woman not tell her husband who she's voting for? That's outrageous. She needs to consult with her husband about voting for me. Watch what he says here.
I'm so disappointed at Julia Roberts, because I look, and she's going to look back on that and she's going to cringe that, did I really say that? It doesn't say much for her relationship, but I'm sure she has a great relationship. But the wives and husbands, I don't think that's the way they deal. I mean, can you imagine a wife not telling a husband who she's voting for? Do you ever hear anything like that? Even if you have if you had a bad relationship, you're going to tell your husband, it's a ridiculous ad. It's so stupid. She's going to look back some days and just say, did I really make that? You know, they're into this thing.
By the way, you got Vice President Kamala Harris drawing massive crowds today in Atlanta. She's got surrogates, for example, Hillary Clinton in Tampa, Florida, getting out the vote there. And I know a lot more Republicans than Democrats have voted in Florida, but there's a massive amount of independents who have voted in Florida as well. And I've spoken to a lot of Republican friends that I have in Florida. That doesn't mean they are Trump supporters. I've always said for the past 3.5 years, there's a massive political realignment in America, and Republican does not mean MAGA Trump. Republicans, classic Republicans, are sick and tired of this guy, and they are on the side of pro-democracy. One of the ways we know that Donald Trump is panicking is he also has all of his surrogates out there doing TV interviews, already spreading lies that there's massive fraud in Pennsylvania. Even Fox, Neil Cavuto had to call out MAGA Republican Ron Johnson about this. Play this clip.
Cheat. I think they do cheat, which is why we keep saying we need such an overwhelming landslide where really the result is too big to rig.
I'm just thinking of those remarks. Of course, the Democrats challenge what you say, sir. And you know, Donald Trump talking about some mysterious shenanigans going on in Pennsylvania, whether with Republicans are the ones laying the groundwork for an election whose results they will not accept if they lose.
Well, again, I want to accept the results. I want a fair, legitimate election. I don't want any legitimate vote canceled out by a fraudulent vote. But we know that election fraud occurs in every election. It's just a matter, you know, how large of a fraud is it?
Okay. Senator, we'll watch very closely. Thank you very much.
Also, folks, the FBI had to come out with a bulletin because all of the MAGAs are now trying to circulate these fake videos to try to cause chaos at the polls. So the FBI put out this statement on false videos being put out by these MAGA extremists. The FBI is aware of 2 videos falsely claiming to be from the FBI relating to election security. One stating that the FBI has apprehended 3 linked groups committing ballot fraud, and a second relating to the second gentleman. These videos are not authentic, are not from the FBI, and the content they depict is false. Election integrity is among our highest priorities, and the FBI is working closely with state and local law enforcement partners to respond to election threats and protect our communities as Americans exercise their right to vote. Attempts to deceive the public with false content about FBI operations undermines our democratic process and aims to erode trust in our electoral system. By the way, folks, here's the final Washington Post A-rated poll in Pennsylvania. They have Vice President Kamala Harris up 1. The new polls from Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, from Marist, from Emerson, from Epic MRA, some of the best pollsters. Donald Trump doesn't even crack 49% in any of them, which I think is a big deal. We've always said Trump's got that 47% ceiling. Has he added to it? I'm not seeing it. And this data right here is very favorable for Vice President Kamala Harris. Also, as part of Donald Trump's panicking this morning, we also got this great article from The Atlantic. Inside the ruthless, restless final days of Trump's campaign, what's discipline got to do with winning? Donald Trump said. One of the things that Donald Trump wanted to do throughout the campaign was to call President Biden. I don't mean to say the word. I'm just letting you know what Trump said. They wanted to call President Biden a retard, and that they wanted to make that their central messaging. Donald Trump says the guy's a retard. He's retarded. I want to call him that. I want to call him retarded Joe Biden. And I wanted to post that over and over again. Well, the article goes on to say that the campaign managed to kind of create some modicum of discipline, but now Donald Trump brought in Corey Lewandowski, and Trump's just being Trump right now, giving oral sex to microphones, threatening the life of Liz Cheney, trashing the Puerto Rican community, attacking Latinos, attacking black communities, and generally offending every single person. And then selling all of this ridiculous stuff. Even Cardi B chimed in about Donald Trump selling things. She goes, "We all know Trump was a hustler, but hustling women out of the rights to their own body is nasty work. Hustling Americans out of their hard-earned money by selling $500 Trump sneakers, $60 Trump Bibles, and $100,000 Trump watches is even nastier. Tomorrow he'll be hustling you out of your healthcare rights." Donald Trump talks about how he has concepts of a plan, but the only concept of a plan he has is a plan to hustle you. It's a very, very powerful statement right there by Cardi B. Also, Donald Trump's top surrogate and lawyer, Alina Habba, out there putting in the hard work that we expect in political campaigns, selling Habba Time t-shirts. This is the official Habba Time t-shirts. Here she is. This is real. And Alina Habba selling shirts with herself posing in Habba Time. That's what they are doing. Going back to that Fox interview right here, Donald Trump is asked, well, what are you saying to people who understand that tariffs are not what you say they are, and they know that your tariffs will kill the middle class? What do you say to those people? Like in Erie, Pennsylvania, saw a recent article that people in Erie, they know that Trump is hustling them with the tariff bullshit. And, excuse my language, the tariff stuff. And so here, Donald Trump goes, well, they're stupid people. Here, play this clip.
Your critics will say, well, your tariffs are gonna crush our country and create inflation. What do you say to people that criticize your economic approach to how you bring prosperity back to the country?
Yeah, well, stupid people say that, Pete. The most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff.
And can I give you the contrast to that and Vice President Kamala Harris right here? Here's what Vice President Kamala Harris says about her economic plan. Let's play it.
First of all, let me make it very clear that I intend to earn the vote of everyone, and I don't take anyone's vote for granted. And my highest priority as president will be to bring down the cost, because to that point, look, I know the cost of groceries is too high still. Everyone knows it. And so my plan includes what we're going to do in terms of taking on corporate price gouging and having the first ever national ban on corporate price gouging on groceries. My plan includes addressing the issue of affordable housing, including for first-time home buyers, giving them a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door. My plan includes addressing the needs of parents, in particular young parents, which is why I will expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for the first year of their child's life, which helps pay for everything from childcare to a crib and a car seat. My plan includes what we're going to do to invest in our small businesses, including increasing tax breaks for small businesses. And overall, my plan, which is about building an opportunity economy, has been reviewed by leading economists in our country, from Goldman Sachs to 32 Nobel laureates, all whom have said that my economic plan actually will strengthen America's economy. They've reviewed Donald Trump's plan and have determined he will weaken America's economy, he will ignite inflation, and he will bring on a recession by the middle of next year.
And here's what Vice President Kamala Harris says about MAGA Mike Johnson, who recently came out and said two things. MAGA Mike Johnson said, number one, he and Donald Trump have plans to repeal the Affordable Care Act on day one, removing health care to millions of Americans. And then this incredible journalist from Syracuse University, Citrus TV, I think is what they're called, asked MAGA Mike, so what are you going to do with the CHIPS Act? Will you try to repeal the CHIPS Act, which literally employs thousands of people in Syracuse, but also tens of thousands of people in swing states? MAGA Mike said that he would get rid of the CHIPS Act, and that's part of his plan with Donald Trump on day one, which would cost you your jobs. It's ridiculous. Here's what Vice President Kamala Harris says about that. Play this clip.
I also want to speak to the comments that have been recently made by the Speaker of the House. It is just further evidence of everything that I've actually been talking about for months now about Trump's intention to implement Project 2025. We have talked repeatedly, and the American people know what's in it. We've talked repeatedly about their intention to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, now to get rid of the CHIPS Act. And let's talk about manufacturing, which is a critical issue for many of the states that will make the difference in this election. Donald Trump, when he was president, lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. We have created over 700 new manufacturing jobs. It is my plan and intention to continue to invest in American manufacturing, the work being done by American workers, upholding and lifting up good union jobs, which are good paying jobs, and doing the work of investing in American industries, including our industries of the future. That is the way we are going to win the competition with China for the 21st century, and that is the kind of leadership that America deserves in their president.
Let me leave you all with this. I get every day tens of thousands of comments like this, maybe more. Brenda writes, my husband was going to vote independent, and for months I've shared everything I've learned from all the Midas platforms. And I was so happy. I was so filled with joy as I watched him fill in the bubble next to Kamala's name on his mail-in ballot. Thank you for everything you've been doing. I believe Midas was the platform that will save our democracy. The next comment, I helped my brother vote. He's 64 years old and a first-time voter. Since he cannot go to the polls, I arranged for him to receive a mail-in ballot. He filled out his very first ballot to support the first black female Madam President. He did this in Florida, specifically one of the most conservative counties in the state. I'm so proud of him. Another comment, my husband is an independent. I was worried about how he would vote. I asked him to watch the Trump rally speeches. Trump convinced him to vote blue all the way down the ballot. We are in Arizona. Another comment, hi Ben, Florida Hispanic here in support of Kamala Harris and our beautiful democracy. I made sure my two sons who are away at college and eligible to vote for the first time received their absentee ballot, sent them to me, and I dropped them off personally. I also texted my entire family, started a group text, and encouraged everyone to vote. As they have gone to the polls, they've been sending pictures with their I voted stickers and big smiles. I also encouraged and allowed my team at work to go early vote during the work hours. That's 28 voters for Harris Walls. Thanks for all you do, your brothers in the Midas Mighty have done to preserve the United States of democracy. You see that right there? That's what I would love for everybody to do. I know you're doing it. Start group text threads with your family members, with coworkers, with neighbors, with whoever. Make it extended family too. Cousins, if you know they're going to vote for democracy. Cousins, second cousins, whatever. Include everybody on and let them know, motivate them, encourage them, and share those stories with me as well. Here, I'll leave you with this one from Chris. Ben, a man I've known and worked with for 17 years, fell down the Trump rabbit hole in a very dramatic way. We had an explosive conversation about 2 years ago, and I decided I'm just not going to bring up Trump again. Instead, I encouraged him to walk his dog more often and suggested he should see what happens emotionally when he listens to certain channels like Fox and Newsmax. He started walking the dog more and watching sports instead of Fox. 3 days ago, he said with a smile, "She's going to win. I voted for her. I'm tired of the craziness." Tired of the craziness. We want normalcy, stability, love, not hate, law and order, not Trump chaos. That's what it's all about. I share with you those comments at the end because it's comments like those that are going to be the difference maker here. You hold the power. You're part of this powerful community that you built and created. Now, if 3.3 million of us are shoulder to shoulder and we walk together these next 48 hours and put in the hard work, democracy will prevail. So I challenge you for the next 3 days till we get past the election. Tell me in the comments what you're doing, who you're reaching out to, who you've helped to let them know about democracy. Share your stories below. Thanks for watching, and let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.